Murphy at murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on February the 15th in the year of our Lord 2026, halfway through February, on our way to March and spring, thank goodness. Okay, I've got a lot of great information for you. Let me just click over here, Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. This is the live stream we're going over tonight, episode 1839. So let's jump into this and pause that and close out the live chat. And let me slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Andrew Klavan, from ACLJ Sekulow, Doug In Exile, X22 Report, and a lot of good stuff here, folks. So let me slide down here before we get into this and give a shout out here to Mr. Ed C. 1966, and from Jenny P. Texas, I think, PTX. Could be Jenna PTX, just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1837, and Debbie BS commented on my episode 1837. Uncloudy, keinahnung, Viper Senior, and Debbie BS commented on my episode 1838. Debbie BS commented on my extra 620A and 620B and 620C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my videos and your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. There we go. Okay, speaking of comments, let's see what, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Keinahnung. All right, here we go. Hello from Germany. I'm American, brother. Well, glad you joined us. Glad you commented, and thank you very much. I hope you joined us again tonight. All right, let's jump back over here again and see what Andrew Klavan has to say regarding How We Fight, episode 1266. I'm going to play his monologue, then we're going to jump up here to about the 5-minute and 30-second mark. So let's get started.
Republicans are beginning to panic as polls show them losing popularity before the upcoming midterm elections. In a party Zoom meeting to discuss the crisis, GOP Senator Samuel T. Schnorer from the great state of Lassitude told his colleagues, quote, "When I first saw the new numbers, I nearly lost my head. I started babbling like a crazy man about passing laws and cutting entitlement spending before it drives us into insolvency. Thank God my consultant was there to slap me in the face until I came to my senses and realized if we start passing laws and all sorts of loony stuff like that, we might be blamed for the results. I think we just have to stick to the original game plan of shaking our fists at Democrats on Fox News," unquote. GOP Congressman Lauren Lovelace from the persistent state of hysteria blamed President Trump for the bad poll numbers, saying, quote, "The president keeps doing things. Things are bad, especially when you do them. That's why we do nothing. It literally means no thing." It's right there in the word. Really, being a congressman is not that complex if you know how to speak English. Also, you have to know when to stop speaking English before you actually say something and instead just keep shaking your fist at Democrats on Fox News, unquote. The polls do confirm that Trump's actions are alienating some people in the party's coalition. According to one poll, Nikolai Kaminsky, 67% of Republicans feel Trump is not carrying out their wishes that he would make government smaller while not cutting any of their benefits, bring down prices while continuing to print massive amounts of money so they don't lose any of their benefits, and deport illegal immigrants without making it hard to find someone to mow your lawn while you pay him crap wages and shout, "That's mucho dinero, amigo," because what the hell does he know? He doesn't even speak English. According to another poll, Stanislaw Dabrowski, 55% of independent voters feel the news under the Trump administration is far too chaotic, and they yearn for the days when they could kick back in front of the TV and watch President Biden shuffle around aimlessly calling America racists while reporters marveled at his ability to lick an ice cream cone and fall down a flight of stairs at the same time. In yet another poll, this one at the Spearmint Rhino Club in Oakland, 75% of Republicans who listened to Tucker Carlson blame Trump for sending Christian men to die for Israel in Carlson's imagination. 95% of Carlson's listeners who named their firstborn sons Adolf are also angry that Trump prevented the Iranian mullahs from acquiring nuclear weapons, which would have sure come in handy the next time their pagers blew their testicles off. Finally, according to the traditionally reliable North Pole, 11% of readers of the New York Times, a former newspaper, are furious at the things they read about Trump doing in the Times, and they're deeply concerned he might start doing them in real life as well. Democrats are seizing on these poll numbers to launch attacks on the administration that they feel will resonate with the public. Democrat strategist Lilith Abadan rolled over in bed and told a reporter, quote, affordability was a good issue until people discovered inflation was caused by President Biden printing massive amounts of money before tripping over a sandbag, flying out the door, bumping into a little girl, and burying his nose in her hair while calling half the electorate fascist. So now we've cleverly switched to harping on deporting illegal immigrants who came swarming into the country by the millions while President Biden was falling off his bicycle and lying face down in the mud for 3 hours before anyone realized he was no longer in the Oval Office. Right now, we feel the idea of defunding ICE will be really popular with millions of poor refugees who came to this country simply looking for a better life with their 72 virgins in heaven, unquote. As for Republicans, they say they will continue to beat back the tide of unpopularity until their fists get tired from being shaken on Fox News. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
Well, there you go. Again, I'm glad he cleared that up for me because I was confused. Okay, let's see what he has to say here. How we fight.
I want to continue talking about what I was talking about last week, so I'm going to do a brief recap as if we were on Netflix, but without the homosexuality. America is. I was talking about the fact that America is in a time of great transition, and most of this just arises naturally from the fact that my generation, the Boomers, are passing away. I'm hoping they won't take me with them, but I'm afraid they might. And our generation was often wrong-headed, but we were competent. We knew how to run, fix a car tire and things like that. And so a lot of the things we did in office and powerful Boomers did in office actually worked even when we were doing the wrong thing. So we've had one major attempt to go past the Boomers with a new younger president, which was Barack Obama. And he looked like he was perfect for the role. It was the post-racial future. He was going to forgive, let bygones be bygones, and the racial, sniping was going to end. And no, that's not the way it turned out. He was a sinister socialist and racist disaster. He destroyed our healthcare systems, promoted Iran, and turned us against each other for racial reasons to hide the fact that all of his policies were failing. But people did catch on because while they liked him and didn't vote him out of office, they voted out every other Democrat in the country. So we have now returned to the old guys with Biden and now Trump, which is obviously, as Biden taught us, a temporary stopgap since eventually the Boomers will go out the door. I hate to break this to myself, but in fact, it's true. Now, at the same time that was happening, we had this incredible transformation, this technological transformation, which was the internet and the proliferation of information outlets, which undermined this carefully built monopoly that the left had on the engines of culture. So this leaves us in a fight for who is going to get control of the culture. At the same time, we fight for who is going to get control of our politics. And the battleground of the cultural fight are the media, an information high ground like the academies, the news media, and the arts, and the left, who have been able to strangle dissent for maybe 30 years and competition from the right by blacklisting us and demonizing us and labeling our love of liberty and family and country as bigoted or phobic or authoritarian. They've really had a lot of power to shut us down and make us feel like, oh, I can't say anything because I must be the only person who thinks that socialism is bad because they made it sound like that. They made you feel like that. And so they are now threatened by losing that monopoly. Almost everything people say is not the only way to look at our politics, but it is a very important way to see our politics as part of this battle for control of the culture, the news media, the academies, the entertainment, outlets. This is on the left. Whenever you hear people saying we've lost our shared reality, what they mean is we're losing control of dictating what that reality is. And when they say, oh, this is misinformation or hate speech, it's simply an attempt to brand anything that undermines their informational power by bullying us into silence. And they are losing it. They are losing that power, which is why the re-election of Donald Trump, despite every cultural lever they pulled, I mean, they used the courts, they used the TV, they used entertainment, they used everything they possibly could. They had everything. They had all of the high ground, and he still won, and basically proving, as I said on the night, as I realized on the night, that there were information sources that were replacing them, and people had stopped trusting them, and they had lost the faith of the people. The people were no longer going to eat that slop without even thinking about it. So it was a real trauma for them. And then you have the renegade right. You have Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes telling you that no, they've got the inside story. They understand the real conspiracy. They don't have any evidence, but it's coming. The evidence is coming, but they get the real conspiracy. And by the way, it's the Jews. You never would have thought of that. They are taking advantage of the fact that the mainstream outlets have lied to you. So you don't know who to believe. You don't know where to go for news. And you know that they've lied to you so that they could do things you didn't want them to do, like open the borders, while they sat there with that bland smile on their face saying the borders are secure. And so these renegade, right wingers, and I don't even know if they're right wingers. Once you start with the Jew stuff, you end up being a leftist. I mean, you listen to Candace Owens now; she's on the left. I mean, there's nothing conservative about her, but they want to seize the open space as the mainstream left loses its place. They want to seize that place and keep wiser heads from taking it over. And so they're going to play into your suspicions. They're going to play into your worst prejudices and fears. And they're especially going to play into your anger at being betrayed by the elites. Anger, as I always tell you, anger is the devil's cocaine, and they're the corner boys. They're the pushers of that cocaine. So here on this show, on this little island of the Andrew Klavan Show, we're dedicated to one thing, and we've been really open about where we stand. We believe in American liberty, which requires reverence for our founding ideals and adherence to our constitutional principles, and a humble acceptance of the reality of a God who looks suspiciously like the God of the Old and New Testament. So that's basically what I pitch for. And if that's not enough to get your juices flowing, you got to go elsewhere and buy the cocaine, because we're not selling the cocaine. So today I want to look at 3 clashes on the battleground of culture that happened just within this week or 10 days, and talk about how we can fight. We know why we fight. That's what we're fighting for, is American liberty and American sensibility and all of the things that go into making the Constitution and the Declaration come to life, which happens in our hearts, not on the parchment. And talk about what kinds of things we have to see and know and do to win that fight and take it back.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet.
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. My, oh my, what a wonderful day.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Yay!
You'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and gay.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
We just filed the U.S. Supreme Court on behalf of 29 members of Congress to uphold Election Day and protect election integrity. Of course, this is a moment where you go, okay, we know in 2020. Look, we even know back to 2000 even, but we know back to 2020, things got chaotic with how votes were counted, when they were allowed to be counted. Some were counting weeks later as mail-in balloting was happening, and the chaos that erupted over it. This is to really make a standard that ballots postmarked by November 3rd, which we knew last time, continued to arrive after November 3rd, were counted on that 2020 election day. What this move would safeguard the integrity of those elections. The ACLJ, again, has filed this. The brief was not only filed for all of our ACLJ members in support of them, but on behalf of 29, like I said, members of the United States Congress, where the stakes are pretty high and integrity of security of our nation is pretty high. Ben Ferguson is joining us. What are your thoughts on this? Election integrity, election security always starts to pop up. It starts to bubble up, especially as we head now into the midterms.
Yeah, look, I think this is insane that we're even having to have the conversation. You and I should not be able to look at an election result and then, if we are bad actors, decide that maybe we're going to figure out a way to keep the counting going for days and weeks until we get to the number that we need to overturn an election. Now, let's say that doesn't happen 99.9% of the time. There is still a very big fear in the world, and I would argue on both sides of this, that you shouldn't have to wait a week to get results from an election. Like, we are the greatest nation in the world. Why on earth are we waiting days or weeks to find out who the next president or mayor or governor or congressman, city councilman is? Like, this is not hard with what we have in technology in 2026. So bad actors know how to use this to their advantage. We saw this during COVID. I think we can all agree that Democrats were brilliant and the way that they basically legaled up to figure out how can we change and alter the way we do the elections in the name of COVID, an emergency. And Democrats are like, that worked out really well for us, where we did this in Pennsylvania or in Georgia in specific areas. Remember, it wasn't statewide, it was specific Democrat areas, and they exploited what they describe as a loophole. Now, you and I both know I want every person's vote to count the same. If you're canceling out my vote, voting for Hillary Clinton or for Bill Clinton or for Barack Obama, the list goes on and on, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, that's fine as long as it's a legal ballot and it's done the right way. So I got to say to ACLJ, thank you guys for leading on this and filing this with the Supreme Court. It's vitally important for integrity of elections. And if you look at polling, Logan, I think this is also something else that's really important. Data among Americans right now is extremely low when it comes to, do you believe that your vote matters? Is it counted, or is there fraud or abuse? We need to get rid of that. I want people to be inspired to go vote because they think their vote actually matters, that their vote means something. And why do we have such low voter turnout and participation? It is because there's a lot of people that believe, well, the system's rigged anyway. So let's have it where that major piece of the pie is gone.
Let's not give them the reason to at least believe that, it feels that way. I think when you bring up also these elections, I think we were maybe, blessed in the last election that it was a pretty clear winner up front for the president. Now, I think when you don't have Trump on the ballot in 3 years, or even with going on the midterms, you're going to see once again if the world is the way it is today, a very, very tight election because it feels like a giant landslide of a Reagan-level landslide. This maybe happens electorally, but maybe won't happen vote-wise. So we do need to figure this out to make sure these don't go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, especially as we know in a lot of these elections, it's going to be incredibly tight. So when they're incredibly tight, we got to figure it out.
No, we got to figure it out. And the American people deserve answers. You don't want delayed answers that then you think, well, maybe there was fraud or abuse, or maybe they found a batch of ballots, or maybe all of a sudden someone randomly drops off 2,000 ballots at a polling station that just randomly show up, or at a mailbox, right? Like, these are the problems that we have right now. I was talking to a CEO of a bank the other day, and we were talking about this issue. He goes, how many times, Ben, have you gone to an ATM and you've never gotten less or more than the amount of money that you want to take out?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's never happened, right? If I want $100 out, I get 100. If I put $100 in, it shows up 100 on my thing. How is it that we live in a world where we're so secure in everything else we do, but our elections are still 50 years old?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense. So why would politicians, who you could also argue have unlimited funds, right? We print money. We have trillions of dollars in a deficit. Are you telling me that we can't fix this problem overnight if we wanted to? I believe the reason why it's not fixed is because it's deliberate and it's being done on purpose. There are bad actors that want areas that are gray and loopholes and ways that you can change and alter an election if it doesn't go your way. We've seen that, and we've seen proof of it. I also think there's another big part of this. Democrats want to make sure that legal immigrants have the ability to somehow try to vote.
Right. I mean, we got to get to that. We talked about it yesterday. Obviously, the SAVE Act, very popular. We've seen the polling from CNN. We've seen the polling saying even Democrats, 70% approve of some kind of voter ID, a photo ID. So the arguments, there's never been one convincing argument. No one has ever given me even a moment to think of why we don't need this kind of security.
No, it's bipartisan. There isn't an issue out there, Logan, that's as bipartisan as the SAVE Act is, which is a real simple question. Do you or do you not show an ID to vote? Do we make sure you are who you say you are when you go to vote? This is not controversial. Liberals, moderates, and conservatives all agree unanimously on this issue, probably more than any other issue in America right now. When you've got that level of a consensus, right? And it is a big consensus.
That would be a landslide beyond landslides.
Yeah. So why are Democrats against it, right? That's the only people holding this up, because you got to get to 60 votes, remember, in the Senate. And people are like, well, Republicans need to fight harder. I want to be clear. Republicans are fighting as hard as they can. You got to know how Washington works, unfortunately. Came out of the House, right? Goes to the Senate. You got to have 60. It's not 50 plus 1. It is 60. Right. And why are Democrats hell-bent on not doing this? It is for one reason. They know that they have a better chance of winning in certain areas if you don't have to show an ID to vote. Every other major country that you would compare the United States to has voter ID laws, because my vote should not be canceled out by a dead voter or someone lying about who they are, or someone that goes into a nursing home and grabs a bunch of ballots and takes advantage of the elderly and seniors and votes on their behalf. All of these things the American people overwhelmingly agree with, and yet not one Democrat in the Senate right now is saying that they're going to go along with this, because the Democratic leadership has said, do not do this to us. It will hurt us on Election Day. The only way it hurts them on Election Day is if there is fraud that they know about, that they're now sanctioning with this vote.
All right, and I can't disagree with him. Is there anything in there that he said that you disagree with? Let me know in the comments or the chat. All right, let me jump over here and on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. I am following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And all right, looks like Shebe63 joined us. Hi, hello from Laguna Beach. Oh, okay, great. I hope the weather's nice down there. All right, well, let's see what Doug in Exile has to say on Bongino is dropping truth nukes. I share Bongino quite a bit, actually, because, I followed him for a long time, and I've shared his information for a long time because he speaks the truth. But let's see what Doug in Exile has to say about this.
Oh, yes, we're back from Israel. Welcome.
Okay, if you followed me, you know that I had some concern last week because I hadn't heard anything from Doug in Exile in about a week. And normally he posts like 2 or 3 videos a day, and he hadn't posted anything for a week. And I didn't know that he was in Israel, but I guess he took a nice vacation. Thought that was very inconsiderate of him not posting any information here for me to share. But, that's fine. I forgive him. Here we go.
Doug in Exile. Dan Bongino, though, has the news. He's trying to stay focused on Trump's accomplishments, which I believe is the only thing that will help the Republicans win in 2026 at the end of this fall during the midterms. And it's important because if the Democrats win, they're going to instantly change the filibuster, as Dan Bongino is going to say in a minute. Here's a clip of him. He's back on the air. I wanted to welcome Dan Bongino back on the air, and I'm happy to see him straightening everybody out. Here's Dan Bongino.
Folks, we talked about a topic that lit up I get a lot of emails about the show. I got a ton on this. This is a very controversial topic, but I have to address it because the two are related. The filibuster and the SAVE Act. If we all can't vote in elections we trust are free and fair, Free, meaning people who are eligible to vote can vote, obviously. Fair, meaning who you voted for is who you voted for, and the outcome is fair. Not hard to figure out. If we can't trust that our elections are real, and the Democrats who said they were cheated out of every election ever until President Trump won, and then it changed, how dare you guys talk about stolen elections? They're so full of shit. The SAVE Act, where we'd implement national voter ID, is unanimously supported by every racial demographic, Democrats, Republicans, everyone. The Democrats have out of arguments about it. If we don't have this, folks, if we don't have it, we're going to be in a world of trouble going forward because the Democrats love cheating. They just do.
The SAVE Act, I think we're about to get it passed. They've been chipping people off slow. The Republicans are doing wider and wider support for it to get it passed. So it's coming. I believe the SAVE Act is going to happen. And if that happens, then that will save elections from Democrat cheating because you'll have to have a photo ID, a valid photo ID to be able to vote. So that just undermines the entire bringing in illegals thing.
Love open borders. They love the welfare state and they love cheating in elections. That's just a fact. The only way to get it passed is going to be to drop the filibuster. Listen to me.
Now, here's where I think he's wrong, but I'll let him go ahead because I think if you pass the SAVE Act, and I believe we're getting close enough to it, but I'm all for nuking the filibuster too. I just think, if you pass the SAVE Act, you don't need to nuke the filibuster. So you should be working harder on passing the SAVE Act.
They are going to, if they take power after the midterms, the Senate. Remember guys, can you remember the flag it? Have we done flag it yet? Chad, get on this. We need you guys. Flag it in the chat. What's the date today? February 13th? Is it Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th. Oh my gosh. Friday the 13th. I'm just waiting for Jason Voorhees to pop in here. Flag it in the chat. Thank you. Haven't done that in a while.
He's going to predict and go, if the Democrats win, which I don't like even saying if the Democrats win. He's acting like it's inevitable. What do you mean if the Democrats win, they're going to nuke the filibuster? Of course they're going to nuke the filibuster. They're going to do worse than that, son. They're going to pack the Supreme Court with only liberal Supreme Court justices to outnumber the right-wingers, the right-wing appointments, undermining an election. It's going to be nuclear, guys. If they take the majority in the House of Representatives and the Senate, they'd have to do both to be able to pull this stuff off. What do you guys think? Is it possible? We're going to do more on Dan Bongino. Look, I got his Twitter feed up here. Here's Dan Bongino, what he's posting on. This is the actual stuff that's going to win the election for Trump because bread and butter issues, people are hungry, people are starving, people want their jobs, they want the bread and butter pocketbook issues, and Trump has basically turned the economy around. He's doing a stronger economy than anything in my lifetime, guys. I'm watching it every day. Here's CNN had to admit that our inflation is better now. Remember, the news lied about inflation under Biden, literally about mathematical numbers. They lied about inflation, saying that it wasn't going up under Biden. Like, that's just math. You just look at numbers. Yes, that is inflation.
Well, Kate, look, this is some encouraging news on the cost of living, right? Inflation took a big step in the right direction to start the year off. So consumer prices up by 2.4% year over year. That is an improvement from 0.7% in December that beat expectations, which were for 2.
Okay, it beat expectations is the biggest thing you have to know. And that this is on CNN. This is Democrat territory. I love bringing the news from Democrats from CNN because they have a left-wing bias. So anytime a left-winger comes in and goes, inflation's down under Trump, it means more than if it comes from my side. So I like hearing it come from the other side, right, guys? It means you can believe it more. And by the way, these same experts that were all predicting that there'll only be maybe 50,000 new jobs this quarter, and they just got the jobs numbers come in, 150,000 new jobs. Completely blew everyone away. One of the lowest unemployment numbers in America in recent history. I'm only saying when Democrats are saying it, it makes me laugh because they're out of spin. And I'm happy to see that. And this is how you win an election, guys. It's going to be over economic issues this fall if Republicans can stay on topic.
0.5%. In fact, this is a new 8-month low for annual inflation, month over month. Prices up by 0.2%. Also a step in the right direction, also beating expectation. Now, economists look really closely at core inflation, which excludes food and energy. Core inflation came in at 2.5%. That's notable because that's the lowest annual inflation rate for core since March of 2021, before the inflation crisis.
And what happened in 2021? Oh, Joe Biden became president. There you go. These are just statistics, guys. These are numbers. I love when it supports my bias and what I think already. And it's getting backed up by a bunch of Democrat pollsters. Here's Dan Bongino on Just the Facts, folks. This is on More of the Facts. This is what Clay Travis posted, and Dan Bongino reposted it because I think Dan Bongino is closer, having once been in the Trump administration, and he just left it a couple of weeks ago. He has more insiders there. So he's actually a real good source for right-wing news and to stay on topic. Here's Clay Travis. Year one of Trump has been incredible. Consider, now, guys, these are numbers, okay? This is math. This is an opinion. You can argue with, no, you can come in and give me, if these are false numbers, correct me in the chat below. Put in the Democrats and socialists and leftists, put in the real numbers, okay? Here's the numbers. 4.4 GDP, gross domestic product, at the end of the year. 2.4% inflation, which is relatively low. Record high stock market. I just watched it go, the Dow go above 50,000. I have money in the stock market. I know that one's true. Record high stock market. Lowest murder rate since the 1900. Since 1900. I reported on that too. Again, these are numbers. These are facts. You can spin and you can say, oh, it's all mainstream media spin. It's all mainstream media lies. Explain this. Lowest murder rate since 1900 under Trump. Most secure border in history. Also true. 0 crossings at the border, a 10% decline in government employees. So he's slashing the size of government and all those people getting their gravy train jobs for life. Trump is shrinking the government and therefore the cost of government. It's honestly extraordinary. Guys, that's not opinion. That's just fact. And finally, I want to give you guys a quick story about how while I was in Israel, and I'm going to show you guys some clips. But while I was in Israel, we went to see the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so while I was over there, I happened to see this clip by Joe Rogan talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in the 1950s. They have bits of Isaiah in the scrolls. And so when the experts looked at them, they were able to read them and say, our Bibles haven't changed. The Dead Sea Scrolls prove it because they predate. People have said like, oh, they've changed so many times to the translation. I'll let Joe Rogan explain it here. He's been on a Bible and church quest.
The most fascinating things that I can't stop thinking about is how the book of Isaiah from the Dead Sea Scrolls was verbatim the same as the book of Isaiah that they found 1,000 years later.
Okay, let that sink in, guys. For people that doubt, it doesn't prove the Bible's true, but it proves it didn't change over time because the Dead Sea Scrolls have Isaiah from, I think it's 500 BC, but as early as 500 BC. And that's before Jesus came, right? Jesus came in the years, let's call it 0, but really it's going to be around 5 AD, let's say. Well, Isaiah predicts him. Isaiah is a prophecy of Jesus. So they said like, oh, it had to have been edited or changed after the 1900s. After the year 5 or whatever, because there's no way that it could accurately predict it. So that's all Joe Rogan is saying here and what blows him away about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Wow. 1,000 years. Wow. And it was exact, word for word.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
It's not only incredible, but I always think the fact that the Bible endures is interesting.
Yeah,
I just came back from the Holy Land, guys. Got a ton of footage. We were in Jericho. We did the Mary of Magdalene churches, the Holy Sepulchre, the Wailing Wall. It was an amazing, life-changing moment. My hats off go to eTours and shout out to Deeb, our guide, and to Mark, our bus driver. We got so much love from them. Incredible information. I learned so much more even about Islam because there's all kinds of a huge chunk, Dome of the Rock is there, right there, next to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. So just an amazing time. I got to see the walls of Jericho. We floated in the Dead Sea. I love sharing those clips with you guys. So thank you guys for watching. And I'm back to work. I'm Doug in Exile.
All right, there you have it, folks. Click back here.
He's been on a Bible and
pause. Okay, this video does come from Doug in Exile. I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Scroll down here and let's see what X22 report has to say. Mr. and Mrs. X. Halftime narrative failed. Of course, this is a week ago, but they just dropped this, I believe, yesterday. Epstein is a puppet. Trump is Saving America, episode 26. Okay, this video is on Rumble Premium. So if you don't have Rumble Premium, you won't be able to go and just watch this at X22 Report, but since I have Rumble Premium, I'm going to go ahead and play it for you, and this video will also be in my daily news wrap-up if you want to watch that. But at any rate, let's get to this and see what they have to say.
And I would like to welcome Mrs. X.
Hey, everyone.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about what happened at the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny. And I know there's a lot of people out there talking about it right now, and we could see that the whole performance was done in Spanish. No one understood what was really going on, which is kind of strange because the meat and potatoes of the NFL, the Super Bowl, are English-speaking Americans. And I remember President Trump saying that English was our official language. So why would they have someone who speaks Spanish?
It's interesting. For me, he was a controversial figure from the beginning. I know they're saying he's this world-renowned artist, and that might be true. I don't really listen to Bad Bunny's music, and not that there's, but to each his own. But I wouldn't say the NFL, I know they're trying to be a global brand, but they're not a global brand. That's not what the Super Bowl is about. I think they've gotten off track about what the Super Bowl is about. And Bad Bunny has made his thoughts very clear that he's very anti-ICE, and he's very upset about, he said he wasn't going to do any more concerts in the United States of America. He's, I think, and he's basically told everyone, I think it was like 5-6 months ago before the Super Bowl, he said, you better all learn Spanish, because he was completely intending to do his show all in Spanish. And I find it interesting because, the NFL, they started, the opening ceremony, and you have the American Sign Language interpreter doing that. And that's beautiful. It's inclusive. And then we have a halftime show that not a word of English was spoken. I mean, we didn't watch it. This was the aftermath. We definitely, Dave and I watched the Turning Point show, which was amazing. I thought it was really incredible. But because I felt like that's our way to send a message that, because I haven't liked what the NFL has been doing for quite a while. They've been, in my opinion, very
they're pushing
an agenda.
Yeah, the deep state agenda, BLM, the woke movement. I mean, even the symbol on the
logo,
field,
the logo for the Super Bowl was very interesting.
I mean, you pointed it out.
Well, I saw it on social media when someone pointed it out, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't unsee it then, because I feel like that was very deliberate, like the rainbow, like the pastel colors behind the Golden Gate Bridge.
And of course, it was being played in San Francisco, so it's a very woke area.
Yeah. I mean, it just felt very intentional, and I just, and then here's the thing too, and everyone's going back and forth, and some people are like, no, it was great. But I feel like as a parent, to me, the Super Bowl, I mean, Sunday football, that was always a fun time for us as a family. You make chili, we would watch the games, we would do the Super Bowl, have a little party, and and just enjoy the game. And we would love the ads and the halftime show. And it just seemed like, I mean, if you're choosing to go to a Bad Bunny concert, I get it. You're paying your ticket, you know what you're getting. He's that artist. And I know they said, oh no, well, that's the actual lyrics. He didn't do those lyrics. He's not in violation of FCC rules and whatnot. But he might have changed them, but then what happened was people wanted to know, well, what is this song he was singing? Because then people looked it up after the fact, and these songs were very dirty, because and I don't think I'd want my children like, oh, let me go look this up, because our kids have access to everything, and you Google like, oh, let me do the translation. And even if he didn't sing it, you're going to look, you're going to see what these words are about. And it's really, honestly, not family appropriate at all. And not, I wouldn't want my 10-year-old, or 8-year-old, any of my children. I mean, they're adults now, but when they were kids, I would not have been wanting to watch a halftime show like that with, and not that I'm like, whatever, I know the songs have things, but these are very explicit songs. Like, I'm sorry, they are. Maybe I.
No, they really are.
My age. Yeah.
No, but when you really look at this, they did it on purpose. I mean, he first came out and said he was going to wear a dress.
Yeah.
I think that was to push everyone's buttons and
100%,
and, get everyone talking about it. And they, again, it's used as promotion. So, bad promotion, good promotion, it doesn't really matter. They try to use it in a certain way. And he didn't come out that way, but you could see that the performance was very specific. It had a lot of different countries' flags. and they were really pushing an agenda there.
Well, they make it like it wasn't divisive, but it was, because they didn't do any attempt to do translation underneath. If he was going to do it in Spanish, why didn't they have it translated? Because they
They
knew
know that most of America speaks what? English.
Right.
So wouldn't you have the subtitles or whatever he was singing underneath?
I'm going to tell you why they didn't, because the songs are dirty,
Yeah.
and they knew it wasn't appropriate. And what bothers me is not just bad. You knew that they knew who they were picking. The NFL is complicit in this. And I feel like you're going to tell me there were no rehearsals. They didn't approve a set list. They didn't know what he was going to be singing. They didn't look into it. I mean, let's face it. This is planned months in advance. It's not like, oh, whatever. We just decided yesterday that Bad Bunny is going to sing in the Super Bowl on the weekend at the halftime show. They knew. So the NFL to me is complicit in this. And I feel like, they're like, they basically, they're trying to find a loophole with the FCC. Well, we didn't say the words, but he would just like allude to it, or he would leave off like the next line, the next word in the song, because he knew he was skating on the edge of it. They knew it. They all knew it, as far as I'm concerned. And there are some congressmen, I think, that are, I know Randy Fine was one of them that was saying that he wants to file to NBC and about like looking into this, because you're all complicit in it when you're doing this, and you're subjecting our children to it. Like, it's different. If you want to bring your kid to a Bad Bunny concert, you know what you're getting into. This is the world's, like the United States of America stage. This is our biggest sporting event of the year. American football, the whole thing. And instead of doing a song that we could all sing along to as Americans, if you're pushing the not being divisive, but then you sing songs that most of the people in the audience there don't know Spanish, don't know, you can't sing along. You may have never even heard of Bad Bunny's music before. I mean, I never have. And I feel like you're just disconnecting with your audience in a complete way and making it like, oh yeah, he said God bless America, and he's saying it's all the Americas. And I'm like, but that's not really what the Super Bowl of the United States of America is about. It's not about the Middle America, Central America, South America. To me, that's not the venue. Like, this isn't the Olympics. The Olympics is the time for those kinds of things, to be unifying as hemispheres, countries, the world coming together on that stage. The Super Bowl of the United States of America is not a world event. Like, I think it's just missing its mark here completely.
Yeah, and also they're trying to make it seem like, well, there's people that listen to the Macarena and that was fine and everyone enjoyed that. But again, if you're listening to this at your wedding and you're dancing to it, that was your choice.
Right.
You decided.
Your set list. Right.
Right. You already knew what the words were. You know it was clean. You'd like the beat. So that was your choice. You invited that song into your wedding, into your party, or if you wanted to turn it on because you liked it, you decided to do this. This was pushed on the people of this country.
It was also every single song of his set list. It wasn't like, and I don't even think people would have cared if he wove in a Spanish song. I really don't think, I really don't, because yes, there are a lot of Spanish speaking people in our country. But when you look at the set list, it was 14 songs. Every single one was not one was in English. So he had a choice there, and it was a very deliberate choice.
And let me just say this. Only 14 to 18% of Americans speak Spanish.
Right.
So think about it. Let's just use the high part of it, 18%.
Right.
Okay. The rest, okay, when you really look at this, what is it? 82% of the people don't understand what the hell's going on.
Right. Well, you could
when the NFL, I'm sorry to cut you off. When the NFL is looking at this, and they're looking at their demographics and they're looking at their audience, was this really for the American people, or was this a political statement?
100%. And it was divisive as far as I'm concerned. It was, and it made it like, oh, well, if you're not for this, then you're racist. And I don't believe that to be true at all. I mean, it's the Super Bowl.
Let me
look
ask
at
you,
the venue.
Would it be okay if we had a Russian singer and he sang in Russian?
No, I think
Chinese
it'd be weird.
singer that sang in Chinese?
It would be weird.
Yes, especially in America. Let's just switch it around. Let's go to a soccer game, which they call football in other parts of the world.
Yes.
Let's go to France. Let's go to Spain. Let's go
Venezuela, anywhere.
And they sang the songs during the break in English.
Yeah.
Would the French people go, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Nobody.
That would be weird.
We have about 5% that speak English.
Exactly.
I don't understand what's happening here.
Exactly.
So once again, this was a political statement. Plus, there's a lot of people that decided to tune out. Even the people that were at the Super Bowl.
I know I thought that was very powerful because you watched when they panned out, and you've seen photos since. People were just kind of standing there in disbelief, like, what am I even listening to? Or people were on their phone with headsets in watching the Turning Point show. People went outside of the stadium on the break. John Schneider, from like the Dukes of Hazzard, he was on his Instagram. Him and his wife went outside and he live streamed outside the stadium because they didn't want to watch the halftime show. And to me, now think about it. Think about the advertisers. I mean, we used to look forward to seeing the commercials, especially at halftime, because you were riveted. You were like, oh, there's going to be a little concert in the middle, and it was exciting. Who's going to be the artist this year? And you look forward to the commercials and the creativity. And for people, now think about how much you paid as an advertiser to be in that time slot for the halftime of the Super Bowl, and people turned it off and tuned out. And like YouTube, all that stuff, that the Turning Point show got much bigger numbers than I think even people anticipated, because like it was nice to have the alternative. And I think usually for people to shut something off and to not want to participate, like that tells you a lot right there.
Well, the thing is, and I know they're making like, still Bad Bunny got a lot of people. You have to remember, people have on their TV, they're already watching it, they're already on the channel, and they might have left the TV on with the Bad Bunny show. Maybe they muted it.
Maybe.
Or they walked away or whatever they did, and they turned on their phones or on their iPads or whatever.
Right.
Because remember, that was streamed. I don't know if people made the entire switch to go on to YouTube or Rumble on their TVs. Maybe they kept the TVs on and they decided, okay, let's mute that and let's put on Turning Point USA. And once again, there might have been people that just said, you know what, during this 15-minute break, I'm just going to do something else. So they might have left the TV on.
They might,
and it doesn't mean they're watching it,
because you wanted to know when the football game came back on. You didn't necessarily know that with. I think I even checked because I didn't know exactly how the Turning Point. Like, we had never done that before. We had never turned off the halftime show,
right?
Because there was never. I love that Turning Point gave an alternative, and I love that we have like Rumble and other places that are going to stream it and make it easy for us to to have an alternative, because I think it sends a very clear message to the NFL, like we don't want to play this game with you. Like,
also we have alternatives. And if you want to keep doing this, because you have to remember, when you look at the stats from the concert, if you go back to 2025, his halftime show was 39% down from the year before.
Right.
So people tuned out. And think about what happens later on. As things continue on and they keep doing this, you know what's going to happen? The people are going to start to learn. The people are going to understand, and they're going to continue to tune out. So if they continue this next year, more people are going to tune out. It's almost like when you look at the Grammys, you look at the Oscars, you look at fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, what happened? People started to tune out. If you look at the Oscars, their ratings have dropped substantially every single year because they kept going with the woke push. They push against the American people. The same thing with the Grammys.
They just did it, yeah.
Right. The NFL's doing the same exact thing. So if you think it's if it's down 39% right now, what do you think it's going to be next year? Probably be down by half, because people are going to learn. People are going to say enough is enough, and they'll continue to do this. And this is what happens. And this is where they don't understand the American people. Yeah. Well, let me take that back. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's part of their agenda, just like they put BLM, on the field, or don't be racist on the field, basically trying to push racism.
Yeah.
It's always the opposite effect of what they're trying to do here. And if you notice, sports have now become political. If you look at ESPN, if you look at NFL, if you look at baseball, if you look at any of these things, they've all become very, very political. I remember there was a time there was no politics in the sport whatsoever.
Well, I was going to say there shouldn't be. This is entertainment. I mean, you go to a sporting event. Why do you go to a sporting event? You're going to kind of unplug from life a little bit, from like your day-to-day, your work. You buy tickets, you go to see a game, where you turn on the TV and kind of, you want to be, you want to see your favorite team, and you don't want to sit there and be, talked down to or told what to think or what to whatever about politics. This is not a time for politics. I'm going to be honest. The NFL started to, and the NFL, it was interesting what you were saying. I feel like they do this with the American people.
Mm-hmm.
They push and push. It's like your sibling in the backseat of the car, where they're like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And they keep poking and prodding to see what's going to do it. I'm going to be honest, for me personally, I started to lose a lot of respect with NFL when they did the take the knee thing. Like that was just really, it really started to lose its luster for me. And we actually started to watch college football, and our kids were in college, so it just made sense. And it was just much more enjoyable to watch college ball. And then they started doing they're saying that there's like a black anthem. And it was like, wait, what's happening? We're all Americans here. Why are we making this divisive thing? Like you said, it wasn't preventing racism. It was actually encouraging it, in my opinion, because
they
you
were
just
separating. That's what they keep doing.
And then now when they're doing with this halftime show, I'm like doing it all in Spanish. It's like, what are you playing at here right now? Like you keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And then you know what's going to happen? They're going to look around and go, why does anybody want to go to our games anymore? I mean, honestly, it was very telling. You saw someone put it on Instagram that they were interviewing the players beforehand, the Patriots and the Seahawks players, going, oh, do you like Bad Bunny? What's your favorite song? They're like, I don't listen to Bad Bunny. And they're like, oh, is that the halftime show? Like they didn't even know. Like, and these are the young guys. Like I was thinking I was out of touch because, he's not really my kind of music, whatever. I didn't really know any of his songs or anything, but I just thought that's because, I'm getting older and I don't, I'm a little out of touch of that. But even these young players, a lot of them had no idea who he was, even though everyone's saying he's this global phenomenon. And maybe he is. I don't really know.
I think they really pushed that. They made you think that he's a global phenomenon, which he is not. And
whatever.
It put it this way: if he's such a global phenomenon, they wouldn't have to push that. You see, they use certain words. You ever see like a movie that's really, really bad, and they throw in all the words? It's incredible. It's unbelievable. And you go see it and you go, this is terrible. This sucks.
Well, you can always tell because they advertise it a little too much.
Right. So when they keep pushing it like this, this is how you know it's not real. They're pushing and they're trying to program you to accept it.
Right.
And basically it didn't work. The people tuned out. And this is, I think, one of the biggest times where people tuned out. And I think if they go down this path, it's going to continue.
Well,
and it's going to get worse for them.
I think it just started like, usually at the halftime show, most Americans know the artist. You can sing, you at least know one or two of the songs to sing along because you want to be, that's entertainment. You want to be entertained. First of all, the poor people that, how much those tickets are to go to the Super Bowl? Can you imagine you go there, you're like, I don't even understand what's happening right now, but it's just an interesting course that the NFL is on, and it seems like they're doubling down on it. And
I think this is all going part to what the deep state players want, and what they did was they infiltrated everything. Yeah, you have to infiltrate the politicians. You have to infiltrate them on the local level. You have to infiltrate the fake news to brainwash the people. Then those people that are watching sports, you have to then infiltrate the sports to brainwash them there. And it continues on and on and on because that's part of what they're doing here. This is why you see it everywhere. And I wanted to say this. Now, personally, we don't watch TV.
No.
We don't put on the networks 247,
NBC,
anything.
CBS. We don't do it.
Actually, don't even look at it. Well, it was very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been away from it for a very long time. We went to watch it. We noticed the programming just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch it, even the commercials, everything.
Oh, 100%.
It was constant program. And I don't mean TV. I mean, trying to program you to think a certain way. The commercials, the messages, everything. You could see it as clear as day. It's like when you step back and it's like you're watching a movie and you can see who the bad guy is, the good guy. You can see what's happening. It's the same thing that was happening there.
It's like you're seeing through the Matrix.
Yes.
No, but it really was like, because we really don't. So, you're not watching commercials. Usually we're watching like, a documentary or a movie or something. So when I saw the commercials that were even going out, that blew my mind actually, because it was so obvious that you were trying to set this narrative. It was the one, do we want to talk about it? It's that one with the neighbors. Something happened.
Oh yeah. With the white neighbor, the black neighbor.
And the white guy had the flag and blatantly in front of his house. And he was trying to be friendly and say hi. And the guy just looks at him and looked the other way. And then like a storm happened or something. And then a tree went down in front of the house. And the black man in the commercial took out his chainsaw and was helping out his neighbor and cutting it up. And then the guy, again, with the flag behind his house, went over and then they made up kind of thing. But it made it like, it just felt very
They made it
divisive.
seem like the white guy with the flag
didn't want to talk to him.
Is on the side of Trump, and they don't want to talk to people. They don't want to
That's how
help.
I
They
read
don't
it.
want to do things. But look, the other people, the black people, the
It was
Asians
just
or
weird. It was-
or the Spanish people, they'll all come and help. Which is completely wrong.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, the Republicans, the MAGA people, they're the most friendliest people. They'll accept anyone into the group. If you go to the other side,
oh yeah,
and you say, well, I don't believe in where a man should go into a woman's bathroom, or you don't agree with what they're saying, they will attack you.
Yes.
If you say the same thing to a Republican or someone in MAGA or anything like that, they will have a conversation with you and they'll still accept you. They will not hit you. They will not scream at you. They will not push you. They will not throw things at you. But if you look at the other side, that's what they do. Whenever the other side loses the argument, they always seem to walk away angry, pissed off, or they just argue.
Or if they don't, or they just accuse you of things like you're a racist, you're
Yes.
homophobic, you're this, because you don't agree with exactly what they believe, which to me is crazy, because I don't even think everyone on the conservative, no one is ever going to believe exactly all the
No.
same things in any movement, in any kind of political arena. Like, you might not agree on every single thing, and that's okay, but you should be able to have a conversation about it. You should be able to agree to disagree. You should be, oh, you know what? I'm willing to hear your point. I don't agree with you, but you know what? Let's have a conversation. I mean, I think that was what was so brilliant about Charlie Kirk, and why the deep state didn't really care for Charlie Kirk, because he was getting through, especially to our youth, because he was like, let's have a conversation. He goes, we might never agree on this, but let's talk about it. And I thought that was one of his most powerful gifts that he gave us, and that we have to keep remembering, because that he's right, when the dialogue breaks down, that's when we have problems, that's when we have chaos, that's when we have issues, because we stop talking, we stop communicating, and we don't grow from it.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, this is what they've done. They divided people on politics. They divided people with religion. They divided people with the color of their skin.
Yeah.
Basically, going back to segregation, they're going back to what they really wanted for this country. The Democrats wanted slaves. The Democrats wanted separation of the black and white people. The Democrats have always pushed for this.
Well, because divided we fall. I mean,
Right.
honestly, because when we're together, we're stronger. I mean, that's how we elected President Trump, but again, because we all came together and said, we want better. But I feel like at every turn, you're right. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, the Super Bowl is just another example of, here we go again. And this is like, they're just not stopping. They're just doubling down on their efforts to divide this country and to, make it like you're ignoring another part of the country. It's just.
But the good thing about this, see, you'd be worried, and this is how you have to look at it. If the percentage of people that watched Bad Bunny went up, I would be worried. I'd be sitting there going, oh, whoa, hold on.
We're in trouble.
Yes, we had, the 20% more people are watching the halftime show.
Right.
I'd say, okay, the plan is not working. The people, they're going along with the deep state and their messaging and their division and everything else. But when you see it drop, that sends a clear message that people are waking up.
Yeah.
And people are starting to understand what's going on here. When you see a drop in fake news, like I just saw a report about CNN, where they lost 2/3 of their audience.
Wow.
So when you see that, people are no longer believing the fake news. When you see the late night shows being canceled, remember, a lot of these late night shows, they were able to operate because they were being fed money to keep the show operational. When the money dried up, they didn't have the audience, so it had to be canceled. When you start to see all of these things, that means the people of this country are waking up, and the people are not going along with the deep state message and the brainwashing. And once people wake up, once you break the brainwashing, and brainwashing is not easy to do.
No.
I mean, I don't know if you have relatives that are Democrats or maybe even Republican people that don't know fully what's going on. But when you try to talk to them, when you try to explain something, there's still a place where you can talk about certain things. But when you mention something that they do not like,
Right.
That's when they shut down. So the brainwashing is still there. So they might be open to, oh, you know what? Yeah, I realize the news is a little bit fake. Oh, I'm open to, yes, I think we need voter ID, but I'm not open to, oh, what Epstein has done.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
great example, because I was thinking that too, because I think a lot of people, and I know a lot of people who have been following the Epstein thing for many years, not just like recently, are very frustrated that everything's not happening fast enough, and why aren't we seeing arrests, and this is how I look at it, because you've known about it even longer than me, and then when you were telling me back in like 2018, I was like, what? And I was like, that's when I really became disillusioned with Hollywood and all of the things, because I used to love watching like the red carpet and the fashion and all those things, and now it's even hard for me to watch a movie, because a lot of these people just kind of sicken me. But here we are, and when you hear people saying this, I think part of why it is still coming out kind of slowly and maybe not as quick as some people would like, because a lot of the population, this is all new to them.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And again, I will have this in my daily news wrap-up playlist, so you can watch the rest of that. In the meantime, I do want to share some information about Rumble Wallet, and we'll move on from there.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever.
Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Designed for patriots who stand tall, this cap captures the enduring spirit of liberty. The Liberty Bell stands proud. This isn't a credit line they can shut off, it's your wallet, permanently. Yours to protect your future.
Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference.
This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet, permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.
Okay, I've copied the live chats into a comment here so that they will be a permanent part of the video. We've had some good chatting going on tonight. Folks, thank you. I appreciate your input. Let me go ahead and make it permanent. There we go. There we go. Okay, let me remind you again, folks, that these videos that I share with you are videos that come directly from the producers. I've got the link to the videos in my description box, as well as the link to the producer's channel. And these videos that I've shared with you tonight are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. I do this to have give people a place to come to get the truth, rather than the lies and propaganda that's being pushed by the mainstream media. I would like to share all this information with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time, and that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up playlist. Right here is Andrew Klavan. We're going to finish up with his video, X22 report. We're going to finish up. I like Mr. and Mrs. X because it's like they're sitting there and discussing what's going on, current events, and, it's just like, sitting down with a cup of coffee and just talking about what the hell's going on. I like that. Okay, and that's kind of the way I feel like I present this information to you. Okay, and then We the People News, situation update. Okay, we had somebody comment on that. Foxy Grandma, I believe. Yes, Foxy Grandma commented on We the People News. Good information. Okay, this says 214, but she dropped it late last night. So she won't be dropping another one for another hour or so. On the Fringe, McWater's Effect, The Black Conservative Perspective, X22 Report, his political information, geopolitical information, and his financial information. Also, we have some information here from Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, Viva Frei, Badlands Media. Great information. I've got 17 videos in here, about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. So go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer or maybe a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here at 9:30 and we'll get this started for you. Give me a chance to get my Rumble studio set up and get it going. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.